Traore is asking the youth this amazing question, that what are you doing for your country? In as much as most of the people within their countries, they are complaining about government, Traore is asking them, well, you're complaining about the government, but you yourself, what are you doing for your country? So let's have a look at this.
We need convinced citizens, and we need deeply committed citizens. And for that purpose, you have learned the essential values of humility. And I want you to understand from this moment on that one of the primary, most fundamental qualities of a true revolutionary is humility. Humility in the sense that you must always be willing to question yourself, and you must constantly tell yourself that you have not yet learned everything there is to know. Having the true humility to understand that one must always continue to learn is a very good thing indeed. Having the humility to always seek to deeply understand the world around us is a very good thing. Having the humility to seek to understand both nature and complex geopolitics is a very good thing to cultivate. Because someone who does not learn, who does not seek to understand, who does not seek to grasp what is happening around them is an ignorant person. And an ignorant person is a danger to our revolution. Have the humility to learn, have the humility to understand, have the humility to always know. The ignorant person is a danger, and the ignorant person can be a traitor through their ignorance. And if you are a traitor to your own homeland, you will inevitably become what I would call, forgive me the term, a trash can of history. It is a truly sad conclusion. Work hard on not being ignorant. Seek to learn, seek to understand, and always take the time to question your own assumptions. You have truly learned the profound meaning of humility in the sense that among these 65,000 recruits, some had the luxury of choosing the exact type of mattress they wanted just yesterday. Others complained about the comfort of the luxury car that drove them to school. Others, on the other hand, perhaps complained about their old bicycle whose chain slips every single time they try to pedal. Meanwhile, others had absolutely no choice but to complain about the sharp, stinging pain from their heels that had completely worn through their worn-out shoes, leaving them with nothing but their own resilience to carry them forward. Among you, there have been some complaints regarding the quality of the croissant served at breakfast. Others complained about the quality of the fish at lunch, while others were looking for peanut seeds so they could study their lessons. But in the end, you all found yourselves sleeping on the cold, hard floor. This is truly a part of humility. You all found yourselves gathered around the same bowl of soup, and often it was the soup that didn't even exist due to the harsh reality of your deprivation. You truly experienced what is often called hunger, even for those who once had abundance. You found yourselves rising above all your previous social differences. You must always strive to keep this deep sense of humility within your heart and truly understand that everywhere across Burkina Faso, we can find people who live in great abundance while others, unfortunately, have absolutely nothing at all. But despite these differences, you must learn to live together in harmony, to share what you have with one another, and to stand by each other to endure the collective sufferings and challenges that everyone faces in our society. Always keep these values of humility deep within you, because life is not always going to be rosy. That is why I speak of the school of life. Ensure that this profound value of humility that has been so carefully taught to you allows you to rise far above all considerations, whether they be religious, ethnic, or social, of the Burkinabe people. Be worthy, proud Burkina.
I actually love the sentiments because there's been a meeting in Kigali, Rwanda, the African Conference meeting, and the same thing that Traore is saying in this video are the same things that the president of Rwanda has been echoing. Okay? If you go to Rwanda, let me tell you this. If you go to Rwanda, the way a normal Rwandese think is totally different from the way a normal African think. Why am I saying so? And it's not that I'm sugarcoating or what. It's because the Rwandese have seen pain over the years. They understand why peace and tranquility is so important for the development of a country. Okay? And I applaud the president of Rwanda for that, President Kagame, Because if you go to Rwanda, there are some massive changes within the infrastructure within Rwanda. And that is the spirit of Pan-Africanism. That is the spirit of African development. So we need to embrace what Kagame is doing in Rwanda. Not only Kagame, actually, because we have a good number of African leaders who are spearheading this movement. Okay? They are at least trying their level best to make sure that they are seeing or they are reaching the dreams of their forefathers. Because what is happening in Africa is not new. We've been lamenting for too much. We've been lamenting for too much. Okay? Yeah. Some of the problems that we are facing now, they are the same problems that they were faced by our forefathers. Can you imagine we're dealing with issues that they were to be resolved 50 years ago? Yet, we want to compete. Is it possible? And you see, even though we are dealing with the issues now, the pace at which we are solving these issues is very slow. When the world is talking about quantum computing, when the world is talking about nanotechnology, Africa, we are still dealing with the basic things, very basic things that were ought to be sorted way in the 50s. Can you imagine up to now? We still have people who don't go to school because they lack school fees. Can you even imagine, up to now, we still have people who don't have access to clean water. People who don't have access to electricity. Dealing with the basic things that were ought to be dealt with long time ago. So how are we as the continent, how are we planning to spearhead this movement? How are we planning to see that we are realizing or we are catapulting our economies to another level? It is simple. We have to elect leaders who love our countries. We have to elect leaders who are ambitious. We have to elect leaders not basing on tribes or their financial might, but basing on the ideas and the values of leadership that they ought to have. That being said, Africa is not short of good leaders. I've just talked about President Kagame. I also talk about President Duma Boko of Botswana. During his tenure, we are seeing things moving. We are also talking about the President of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama. One of the things that he has done actually that amazes me is the fact that he said, if you have an African passport, you are free to travel to Ghana without any visa. Can you even imagine that? Actually, he is following the footsteps of Kenyan president, because the Kenyan president was the first one who introduced this move, that if you don't have, or rather if you have an African passport, you can go to Kenya for free, visa free. So there are good things that are happening in Africa. Okay? Go to Botswana. Duma Boko is doing good things. Go to the Sahel region. President Traoré, the most vocal and the most loved president in Africa, if I'm not wrong, is the president of Botswana, Burkina Faso, rather, President Ibrahim Traoré. Why? Because he's doing massive development. And one of the things that impresses me is this. Even though he's doing this development, a lot of these things are being done by money that is not borrowed. Money that is coming from the natural resources. They are mining minerals and selling the minerals. So the money that they are getting, they put it in the national kitty by the name Faso Mebo. And you see, with this kitty also, you as an African of goodwill, if you are in Africa or in diaspora, you can contribute to this kitty. So the money that is contributed to this kitty is used for development. That is President Traoré. And we have a good number of African leaders. Okay? So Africa, we are doing something good. It is only a few number of leaders who are still dragging behind. But at the end of the day, we are going to reach our potential, we are going to skyrocket this movement to another level. If it's the first time here, subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Bye bye.